So, from my way of thinking, they were thinking that we were getting our input from the Urban League. And who was down at the Urban League? Our mentors, a few adults we had mentioned, Dave Miller, Nate Norman, Jackie Patterson, Charles Redd, and Tom Brown. These were people in the Urban League that were affiliated, and we went down just like, man, we was like, you go to the lunchroom for lunch. We went down to the Urban League. That's how that was part of our feeding. That was part of our fire. He mentioned we listened to albums and read books. My thing was Minister Malcolm, the ballot or the bullet. If you wanted to get fired up, if you wanted to get charged up, for me, it was the ballot or the bullet. Minister Malcolm was full of fire. He was ready. He had us motivated. Me personally, I can't speak for Rubin, but for me, it was Malcolm and his revolutionary ideas about knowing us, who we were. The Voting Rights Act. Why do we have to keep renewing it periodically every so often? Once you got the right to vote, seemed like we ought to be able to keep the right to vote. In this past election, you had voter suppression, long lines, voter ID, all of this stuff. Electoral college. Get rid of the electoral college, I think you'd have more people participating. I digress. Battle of the bullet, voting or fighting. Which one would you rather do? Now that's what I got from it. But it was just his fever, his zeal, man. I'm talking about Brother Malcolm zeal when he talked about the right to vote and what we come through and how we were brainwashed and how we're taking advantage of. We really don't know who the hell we are until we find out who we are. I don't think right now in 2013 we really know who we are, because if we did, we would be farther along, I think, than we are now, because we ain't got a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of. Been here over 400 years, and what do we got to show for it?
Okay, Rubin, did Malcolm X have the same impact on your vision?
Oh, yes. Malcolm was the man. And by that, I meant that he was the first person to really come out and say, hey, this thing in America is all backwards. And we're going to either have to vote and fight. And the gun is going to be our best weapon.
So, you know, it sounds like either philosophically or conceptually, what he was saying was the exact same thing that you all were presenting through your movement at Central. How did you, you know, as you were doing that, how did the walkout thing, how did that start to, how did you grow towards that?
Well, that was an interesting thing. It developed over about a year, because we organized the group in the late 60s. I mean, it was just conversation among friends and start to share our views, and as we continued to talk and continued to read. I think the reading aspect of it, particularly Brother Patterson, and we was all on the football team, and we knew after my junior year we were no longer going to be athletes. At least I did, and so we had to fill that void with things, and we started to read. And Patterson was always reading, and he was talking about Malcolm and the movement, and it was interesting. Not only interesting, but we, coming from Mississippi, we could understood it. We knew what the deal was. The bright lights in the big city was kind of camouflage, and the real deal, we were still poor. We were still the worst, the most hated people in America. No one really saw the abuse of our neighborhoods, the abuse of our parents, et cetera, et cetera. And so that's what Malcolm was talking about, and we had to change that.
You know, Was it offensive to you to be called a black militant back then?
Me personally, it was a badge. It was an honor. Militant, man, come on. We wore black. Leading up to this walkout, man, it was like the best of my ability to remember. We presented some ideas to Spooler, the administration, what we wanted. It wasn't, I think they call it demands. It was just a request. We would like to have a Black History Club. We would like to have a Black Guidance Counselor. We would like to have a Black History course taught. And their answer to us was emphatically no. So let's fast forward. They said no. We walked out. Just read, and what's in between was meetings at the Urban League, at each other's homes. And what we had planned on doing was we had a pep rally that morning.
Well, hold it. What did you talk about at these different meetings?
We were actually, it was we had to keep the fire going, because naturally in a lot of movements and stuff, as time goes on and things get closer to what you want to do, some maybe got a little weak. You had to show up. So we were just reinforcing what we were going to do, what our idea. We were trying to critique. What do we mean by we wanted a Black History Club? We wanted a Black Guidance Counselor. We wanted a Black History course taught. So we were tweaking the kind of curriculum that, we just didn't want to hear about George Washington and the cherry tree and Honest Abe, man. We wanted to hear about Toussaint Louverture, Dessalines, Nat Turner, Denmark Vesey. Them guys was, them was heroes. Nat Turner, are you kidding me? Nat, oh man, reading about what this brother did, what he would. See, right now, it's making me flash back to the fact that I was in a zone and really didn't realize, man. I was hypnotized with the fact that Malcolm was in my ear, and these brothers and sisters, we were meeting at each other's homes and at the Urban League and at the fire station on Wallace Street. And brother, it was like we were living reality, like reality TV. Now, we were going to meetings, man. We were serious. We took notes. We had a committee. God, I can't think of the technical name we call, but our adults. We weren't just a bunch of high school youngsters going half-cocked without any kind of guidance, man. We had counselors. We had mentors. We had people in our corner that weren't influencing us, trying to change our minds. They were giving us, like, we would give them a strategy. What we were going to do was to say, well, okay, well, try this, improve on that, try this or try that. They were helping us critique what we were leading up to. Simply put, they said no. We made the decision. That morning, at a certain time, the pep session was going on, we were going to walk out of school. This brother nudged me. Tubbs, you going? I said, man, we supposed to go. Ain't we going? He said, hey, we going, ain't we going? All of a sudden, he stood up, but we both stood up at the same time.